Mabuhay, or in Kapampangan, luwid kayo. In one of my previous videos, we've talked about the almost forgotten Cham warriors of ancient Thailand. Today, in the second video in my Cham series, we will be learning a little bit about their motherland, the ancient Austronesian kingdom of Champa. At number 1, Champa was an ancient Southeast Asian empire. It lasted from the 2nd to the 17th centuries, with remnants surviving until the 19th century. It spanned and ruled much of the area of today's Vietnam and territories of what are now Laos and Cambodia. Although not very well known in the world today, Champa was at its peak a great Asian power. It had a highly developed economy based on maritime trade. In fact, what we now call the South China Sea was once known as the Sea of Champa. At number 2, according to historical legends, the founder of Champa was a benevolent goddess known to many as Po Nagar. But mythology and legends aside, the group of people who founded the kingdom of Champa were the Cham people, or in their own language, the Orang Champa, an Austronesian people indigenous to Southeast Asia, a people closely related to the peoples of what are now the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, and many others. According to some of the earliest historical sources, the emergence of the kingdom of Champa had something to do with the fall of the once powerful Han dynasty of China around the year 192. At number 3, the kingdom of Champa often came into contact with other great civilizations, such as ancient India and ancient China. And despite having legendary roots connecting the kingdom of Champa to the political history and dynasties of China, the kingdom's own culture was greatly influenced by ancient India. And this influence is very visible in the art and architecture of Champa, which includes many images from Hindu mythology. And because of its maritime power, Champa also had an impact on other cultures, including those in the islands we now call the Philippines. But more on that in the next video. At number 4, during the early years of its existence, Champa had numerous military encounters and wars with the ancient Javanese, the ancient Chinese, and the Khmer. But nevertheless, the kingdom remained unconquered. And in the 4th century, the kingdom of Champa expanded its borders into the territory of Funan, another ancient Austronesian empire in Southeast Asia. And at number 5. In the 10th century, or more precisely in the year 982, the kingdom of Champa suffered a major defeat from a new country called Dai Viet, or the ancestor of what is now Vietnam. The Champa capital city, Indrapura, fell, and many of the Cham people fled to the neighboring countries. The kingdom of Champa emerged from this conflict rather weakened, but nevertheless, it continued to exist for a very long time, for another 800 years. The further decline of Champa's empire began around 1471 in yet another war with the Vietnamese. Another war that resulted in countless Cham people fleeing to places like Cambodia, Malaysia, and yes, even the Philippines. Champa's last surviving principality, Panduranga, was crushed by the Nguyen dynasty of Vietnam in 1832. The Vietnamese emperor did not just annex the last territory of the kingdom of Champa, but also pillaged its villages, burned its farmlands, and destroyed its ancient temples. At its peak, the ancient kingdom of Champa was once one of the most powerful maritime empires. It was one of the few kingdoms highly respected and recognized as such by the all-powerful Ming dynasty. It once ruled much of today's Vietnam and parts of Laos and Cambodia. Today, the surviving descendants of the Cham people and the majority of its diaspora are found throughout Southeast Asia, the United States, and France. In the third video of this series, we will learn more about the colorful culture and the astonishing achievements of the Cham people. And finally, on the fourth one, we will talk about the current issues and experiences of the Cham people back in their ancestral homeland and throughout the diaspora. So tune in and don't miss out. And that is it for me today. If you like this video and learn a thing or two, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help me make more videos like this, show your support and please be my patron or get a copy of my book, The Kalpong Salamat. See you next time, or in Tagalog, kita kits, and in Kapampangan, mi kitiks.